Hello and welcome to the Online Course Creator Show. My name is Lou Blakely, and if you're new here, thanks so much for joining me. If you are a regular listener, which I'm guessing you are, thanks for sticking around. Now, it has been a while since I have done an episode, so I'm very excited to be back. I've just spent this morning really mapping out the podcast for the next month. So I'm super excited about what's to come. I've got lots of juicy things happening. And also it is going to be my 100th episode of the show soon, which I'm really, really excited about. So stay tuned for that. The last episode that you would have listened to from me, I was in New Zealand visiting family, and I had found a little spot to record. And really, that trip to New Zealand ended up being quite different to what I thought. I went over to visit family and I just got there and completely relaxed. It was like the trip that I didn't know that I needed, the holiday that I didn't know that I needed. So let's just say I didn't really get much work done on that trip, which was not the plan. I'm actually someone who used to always work on trips. I took my laptop everywhere. And you may have heard the story about the time that I was in Rarotonga and I was, struggling to get onto the Wi-Fi to fix some Facebook ads for a client. And that was one of the moments when I realized, what have you done? What have you created here? You've just created a job that you actually can't escape from. So on the flip side of that, I've actually become really accustomed to not working when I'm away. And that's been amazing. Now, this trip was kind of like edging back into working and keeping momentum going while being away. However, it did not go to plan. So it seems like I have got some work there to do. It's also quite hard to record a podcast when you're surrounded by family. It's not even your house, So I still could have done it for sure. So that's why I have not recorded an episode for a couple of weeks. Came back to Brisbane and then we got hit by the cyclone. Luckily, by the time it hit us here in Brisbane, it was an ex-cyclone. It was called Alfred. So that was a really stressful experience. My partner was actually away overseas when it all happened. So I had to do all the prep, pack up our entire backyard because we did think that it was going to be way worse than what it was. Basically pack up the whole backyard. And if you've seen my backyard on Instagram, there is a lot of furniture. It's a big space. There's lots of different things. We had to move all of that into the garage. And then we, just rode the storm out, I guess. And all of the supermarkets cleared out in terms of food. So after a certain point, it was literally impossible to get any food. I was just staying up late. We've got a pool at our house, which is about 60,000 litres of water, and it sits up behind our property. So that was my job, literally draining it because it was overflowing. And on the last night, what happens is if you've been in a cyclone, tornado, hurricane, I think you call it in the US, then you'll know this already. But when these storms roll in, you get hit with the wind first, and that's really the cyclone part of it. And then what follows is really, really heavy rain. So the heavy rain is really what got us here. So on the last night of the really, really heavy rain, I fortunately went outside to have a look at about 11:30 p.m. at night. Something told me to just stay up late. And there was literally a waterfall coming down our garden, down some pebbles and straight into the downstairs part of our house, which was really scary. So luckily I had my stepson here. They grabbed some sandbags and we were able to stop the flow of water. But unfortunately we did get some flooding inside, but honestly it wasn't that bad and we're still here. We actually got to it in time, which is so good. But it was just exhausting. And I'm so glad that's over. So I'm telling you those stories to share why I haven't been, bringing out new episodes, because I really feel like it was just a full-on time. Anyway, So we're back to it now, which I'm super excited about. Thank you so much for tuning in to listen again, especially after not hearing from me for a while. And I'm really excited about today's episode because there is a very, very, very tough truth when it comes to online courses. And that is that most course creators spend way too much time building their course and not nearly enough time marketing it. So the proportion that you should be spending on marketing is often lacking, and we're spending a lot of time tinkering and tweaking our course, which at the end of the day, if no one has even seen the course, then no one's even going to see that. It's like busy work, right? And then what also often happens is that after a short launch or, putting it out there, maybe you share some Instagram posts, you write some emails, hey, my course is live, and maybe you get some sales, but you likely would get none at all with that approach. Then, you assume that your course isn't good enough, no one wants it, and you move on to the next thing, despite having spent all of that work on it. Now, if that sounds familiar, then this episode is definitely for you. If you, just feel like you are missing something when it comes to launching your course, or you're not marketing it enough, and you are one of those people who are tinkering with your course content all the time instead of putting it out there, then definitely tune in. So this episode is all about why your course isn't selling and how to fix it. So I do see this all the time. When I run free challenges, free trainings, anything like that, where I invite people into my world to work with me in a little bit of a capacity, kind of like launch events, like the launch events that I run, I have noticed that about 30 to 50% of people that turn up to those things are people that already have a course. Sometimes they are sitting on their website gathering dust, basically. They are there, they're available for sale, but no one's actually buying them. Or worse, they have been relegated to the depths of Google Drive or whatever you use to store all your files. And, these are courses that you've spent time to put together, but are never going to see the light of day again, unfortunately. Now, this is a real shame because obviously there's so much good content usually in a course that you've put together. However, you haven't quite got the marketing side of things right, and maybe the offer isn't quite right. So this is what I'm going to cover today. And the reason that I talk about tweaking your course, I definitely noticed with my one-on-one clients in the past that a lot of them have been like, I'm going to launch after I improve this part of my course. And I always encourage them not to do that because you can improve your course content at any time. But when it's taking precedent over the marketing, then you definitely have a problem. And the reason for that is your course content does not sell your course for you. Marketing is what sells your course for you. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the real reasons why your course isn't selling and what to focus on instead. So before we dive in, I have got a free resource for you that you can download for free, and that is the Why My Course Isn't Selling audit. So it walks you through the key areas that you need to tweak if your course isn't making sales. So you can grab it now at loublakely.com/audit, and I will put that in the show notes for you and also in the description below so that you can easily just go to that link. Now, for those of you who can't understand my Kiwi accent, that is spelt AUDIT. So that is audit, loublakely.com/audit. Now, let's get into the episode. So the first reason is that your offer isn't clear or compelling to your ideal customer. So yes, sometimes the offer is just completely wrong and you need to change that, like it's the wrong offer. No one's really interested in it for whatever reason. But sometimes the offer is not actually the problem per se, but it's actually how you're communicating it. Like, have you been able to communicate it in a very clear way that actually speaks to what that person wants? So can you clearly tell someone what they'll achieve by taking your course? So what I do see quite often is that a course is like an encyclopedia of your knowledge. You've just put everything you know into it. But people don't necessarily just want the knowledge, they want the result, they want the outcome. What is the outcome, and how have you communicated that's what they'll get from the offer in your marketing? Definitely something to think about. And you've also got to make sure that people actually want this transformation. They want this outcome. If it's something that not enough people really want, they don't care about, they're not willing to spend money on, then unfortunately they are just not going to see the value in what you're offering, and then they're not going to buy. And you also need to be very clear and be able to communicate how your course is different from what's already out there. And you obviously have to know who it is for specifically. Like, again, just putting out your knowledge as the expert in your space is all great, but you need to have an ideal client that you're actually creating this for, a group of people, a specific group of people that actually really want this transformation, because often without that, you're actually unable to communicate what the transformation or the outcome is that people actually want, because you're just putting out knowledge. So the thing with online courses is that people don't buy online courses just because it's a course. Like, no one actually wants an online course. They buy because this online course is simply the vehicle that is going to solve their problem for them or get them to the outcome that they want. Now, the second reason that your course might not be selling is that you simply don't have enough audience or visibility. So if not enough people even know that you exist, then they're not going to find out that your course exists, and then they're not going to buy it. It is as simple as that. But this doesn't mean, and I don't want you to take it as meaning that you've got to spend years, months, however long, building a massive audience, because you don't. You don't actually need a huge audience. And case in point, one of my clients last year made nearly 10K with just 200 Instagram followers, with an email list that of the same size. Now, when I say nearly, it was like between 9,500 and 10K. So pretty much a 10K launch with just that small amount of following and a small email list. And the secret there was using a really solid launch strategy, and we're going to get to that soon. But when it comes to not having any visibility in the market, the real issue is not so much numbers, but it's not enough marketing and not being able to attract buyers as leads, okay? So the thing with launching an online course is that a good launch will actually grow your audience while simultaneously selling your course. So you will achieve both with a really good launch strategy. And I'm going to speak more on that later, right? But if you are not doing any audience building prior, and then you're just kind of saying, hey, my course is here, buy it now, then that's not going to grow your audience either. So therefore, you've just hopped in front of a group of people and said, hey, buy my course. That's not going to work, okay? And that is a really big reason why a lot of online courses don't sell, and a lot of it does come back to the launch. So before calling an online course a failure, I want you just to check your numbers, do a sanity check. How many people actually saw your sales page? If you don't know, then go and look at your Google Analytics, look at the analytics on the platform you're using. Like, many platforms do offer inbuilt analytics into their software as well. So check the numbers. And, if it's less than 100 saw your actual sales page, then you actually don't have enough data to say whether or not your offer was a failure or not. Now, the third reason why your course might not be selling is that your sales page and the way that you position your offer on your sales page are not strong enough. So a good course, it doesn't matter how good it is, it doesn't matter how many modules it's got, it doesn't matter how many lessons it's got, it doesn't matter how many downloadables it's got. A good course won't sell if it doesn't have a good sales page. What I often see, especially with, as I mentioned before, these people come to my trainings and whatnot, and they have got a course that they've created and it's just kind of sitting on their website. A lot of the time when I look at these sales pages, they're not actually a sales page. They're more of an e-commerce product page. So they just have a simple course name, maybe a tagline, a list of what's inside, and a price. That will not cut it when it comes to successfully selling an online course. It absolutely will not. So you do need one of these longer form sales pages, and I'm sure you have seen those before. And you may be wondering, why is this so long? Why is this so lengthy? Because some people really don't enjoy these long sales pages. But the thing is, they work without a doubt. They are essential to sell a course. And on that sales page, you need to position your offer. So around offer positioning, we are making sure that we're clearly communicating the transformation, like what are they going to get out of it? Not just a list of modules, because yes, people want to see the modules sometimes, but actually they're way more interested in what they are going to achieve and how fast you can actually get them from where they are now to where they want to go. And if they've got to do like 20 modules to get there, then most people aren't going to be interested in that, okay? So it's actually not about the modules or the lessons. And that's where I see a lot of people spending a lot of time planning out at the start before they even do anything. And in reality, that's not what is going to give you success. It's more about being able to position your offer in front of the right people. So you've also on the sales page got to speak to your ideal client, where they're at now, like what relates to them, not where you want them to be, but where they actually are. You need to speak to them in a way that makes them understand that you actually understand where they're at in order for them to know that you can help them. And you also need to address any common objections that they are likely to have so that they read the sales page and it actually moves them through this process, this path to purchase process, so that there should be no question left unturned. They should know whether this is right for them or not. And that is actually why these sales pages are quite long. And I completely understand that they can feel like there's way too much information. But when a sales page is created, it's really created for the person who is really, really interested in this and needs to know as much as possible so that then they can make the best decision for them. Okay, so that's why a sales page is quite long. Long sales pages work without a doubt, and they are for people who are seriously considering buying your course. And your sales page should feel like a conversation with someone who wants to buy but needs reassurance that it's the right fit for them. So, obviously that's going to take quite a lot of content to make sure that it's all covered. So a weak sales page is really going to hurt your sales, and it's about creating a page that speaks to people where they're at, covers off the transformation, the outcome they're about to achieve, and also addresses any objections so that people know that this is the right fit for them. If you do this, yes, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be so well worth it. And this is a process that I take you through inside of Moneymakers, my signature online course, all about launching. Now, the fourth reason why your course isn't selling is that you don't have a launch strategy. So you would have heard me touch on this already. And, often we see people just posting on, like maybe doing a countdown. Actually, that's a really common thing that I've seen, where it's like 5 days to the doors to whatever your course is called open, and then counting down. I hate to break it to you, but nobody cares about this, and it's definitely not moving through a customer journey, or as I like to call it, the path to purchase. So simply just turning up on social media or even sending emails to your list and just saying that your course is now available, that is absolutely not a launch strategy. It's definitely not an effective one, and it's not going to result in the results that you want. Now, if you are lucky enough to get sales, then you probably have a pretty amazing offer. However, you're leaving some serious money on the table if that's all you're doing. So a real launch guides potential buyers from having just found you on the internet to then deciding, yes, I've got to have this offer, I am in, and purchasing your online course. That is what we want. And this is what I call the path to purchase. And again, this is the strategy that I teach you inside Moneymakers, where we're actually attracting people to your course that are most likely to want to buy it, and then moving them from being vaguely interested to, being, this is for me. So once you learn how to launch properly, you can repeat the process over and over again, which is amazing. Imagine what that could do for your business. So your first launch, using a proper launch strategy, isn't the end all and be all. Sure, it's a monumental moment for sure, but it is actually the start of a repeatable system that you then have in your business that you can repeat over and over for years to come, and one that makes you money, helps you make more impact, helps you become the go-to in your space, and gives you back the freedom that you deserve. So if your course is not selling right now, don't scrap it or spend months tweaking the content. Instead, focus on learning how to communicate the value of your offer, increasing visibility and building an audience of buyers, improving your sales page so that it clearly speaks to your ideal customer and what they're going to achieve, and learn how to implement a launch strategy that moves your audience along the path to purchase. And to help you with this, don't forget to grab the free Why My Course Isn't Selling audit. It will show you exactly what to fix so that you can start seeing more sales. And again, if you want to grab that audit, the URL that you go to is loublakely.com/audit, which is spelled AUDIT. If you found this episode helpful today, head over to Instagram and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. I would love to hear it. And I hope to see you soon on the next episode. Bye. Thanks, course creators and go-getters. You're incredible, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you'd like to find out more about what I offer, head across to loublakely.com. See you next time.